Okay, thank you, June. So for those of you who have not met me before, I'm Louise Cornell, and I was appointed as your planning consultant to support you to develop the neighbourhood plan. And I've been involved right from the start, really, to where we are now. So I just wanted to, and thought it might be helpful to remind us of the process that we've been on to get to this point. And then I'm just going to say a few words about where I think we need to get to now, really. So we've been through a regulated process to get to where we are now. The neighbourhood development process is something that's set out in statute, and we do need to meet that formal process. And part of my job is to make sure that we are meeting the regulations, because that's something that we will need to justify to the examiner. So right from the word go, when you identify your neighbourhood plan area, actually the parish council is identified as the qualifying body. And as the parish council, you've got that overall responsibility for the neighbourhood plan. But in most cases, and in Fleggbrug's case, you kind of delegate the kind of the nuts and the bolts and the kind of pulling the plan together to a working group. And it's important that that working group comprises both representatives of the parish council, but then also the wider community, because a really big part of developing a neighbourhood plan is about understanding what the community wants in the plan and having their views and that represented. So this is absolutely the case of what I've seen happen in Fleggbrugh. And actually, your working group has been one of the best attended working groups that I've ever been to and have been part of in terms of a neighbourhood development plan. I think all of the working groups, the meetings that we've had, took place during 2019. And I think at the end of 2019, we got to a point where we got the draft of the neighbourhood plan. And we were ready to go out for formal consultation on that. And I think it's fair to say that during 2020, COVID has restricted quite a lot of neighbourhood plan activity. And I think things have been done in a different way. Because of COVID, we haven't been able to be out there in the community, hold events at the village hall as we would have done. We haven't been able to hold additional working group meetings face to face as we would have done as well. However, we did undertake the Regulation 14 consultation, as it's known as, which is the consultation on the draft plan, and that took place in the autumn. And it's worth noting that there was a really good level of support for the plan and all of the policies in the plan from both residents and from statutory agencies as well. So the likes of the Borough Council, the Broads Authority, Natural England, those are the statutory agencies. And I've supported development of quite a lot of neighbourhood plans, and from my perspective, yours is not a particularly controversial plan as such. You're not allocating sites for development. However, it is really important that those policies are right. So we're now at the point where we've received all of the representations through that Regulation 14 consultation, and those representations, all of the things that people have fed back, have been considered, and I've recommended changes that are made to create this submission version of the plan, and I think that's where we are. Prior to the meeting, I also had some useful feedback and comments from parish councillors. There's one point I just want to touch on a little bit, and that has been a point about contacting landowners of local green spaces. It is important as part of the plan's development, where you are identifying local green spaces, that you do contact those landowners. And I know that informal contact has taken place at points during the plan's development, but now to say that there has been formal contact with those people, they have been emailed as well. And it's important to consider what landowners say, where their land is proposed as a local green space. But just to say, you don't need their permission. Whilst it's important to weigh up their views, you don't necessarily need their permission, but you do need to consider what they've got to say. I suppose I'm looking for the parish council to approve the submission version of the document tonight. And once it has been approved, we can then send that to the Borough Council and the Broads Authority for further comment. And I'm recommending that that happens at the end of the month, once we have heard back, if we're going to, from those owners of local green spaces. Now, once we submit the plan to the Broads Authority and the Borough Council, they will make more comments. And so there will be more changes that are required to meet their requirements and those comments. I think that will probably take about a month from when we send it to them. So after you've approved it as the parish council, we send it to them. They have another bite of the cherry to make comments and we make more changes. Then following that, the next step is formal submission to them. And at this point, there will again be more consultation. And then following that consultation, it will be reviewed by an examiner. And then that examiner will require more changes to your plan because they always do. But following that, and once they're happy with it, there will be a referendum on the plan. And this is where that importance of having community buy-in really comes into the fore, because the referendum will essentially, if there's 50% or more of people who say yes, they agree with the neighbourhood development plan, of those people who respond to the referendum, then it will be passed and it will then become part of the Borough Council's development plan. Some people have asked me questions about at which point does the neighbourhood plan hold some weight and sway in planning terms. It's at the point at which the examiner has reviewed and is happy with your plan. So it's before the referendum, it's once the examiner has reviewed it and they are happy with it. So I think that's all I wanted to say as kind of background, and I felt it'd be useful to, I think, respond to some of the questions that people had asked me over the last week or so, but also to, I think, tell you where we are from kind of a planning process perspective. And I think really I'd like to, you know, hopefully we've addressed all of the comments and concerns that people have raised, and people are assured that we've followed the right kind of process here. And I'm telling you, know, as the expert of, you know, working with lots of other neighbourhood development plans and parish councils, that we have followed the right process. So really it's over to you, whether you have anything that you'd like to say, or whether you're happy to approve the plan now to send off to the Borough Council and the Broads Authority at the end of the month.
Thank you, Louise. I think that's been very helpful, and it's clearly set out everything we need to know, really, so we fully understand what we're doing. I apologise for the phone in the background. I believe one of the councillors hasn't been able to get on for some reason, and he's phoning here.
You can now.
Oh, he's on. Oh, okay, sorry. All right, thank you. Good evening, Frank.
Evening.
Right. So yes, thank you very much for all what you've said, Louise, and I can honestly say I think we have tried very hard, however late in the day, but we have tried to give as much input as we can to get things right, and I think that was what we've always wanted, for it to be as accurate as we can do it for the parishioners and for our villagers. So does anyone have any points to raise concerning the submission as it is at the moment? Has everyone had a chance to look at it? Right.
Keith Osborne.
Can I talk?
Yeah.
Yep. Right. Thank you, Louise. It's very good to be re-informed of the background. The latest document, I have one concern with, and you've just alluded to that since the parish council submitted all their comments on the plan, which you submitted a update on the 8th of January, then on the 12th of January, after discussions with a few councillors, there were some further amendments, and you've alluded to those regarding, I think, the local green spaces, where it's a good idea, but I see we've added the owners of the various green spaces. But there's one which is a very key topic at the moment. In item 4, the playing fields and bowls green, it's stated that the bowls green and playing field is owned by the Village Hall and Playing Fields charity. That is an incorrect statement. The land is owned by the parish council, and the Village Hall and Playing Field Trust manage and control that land. I think I'm not sure you're aware, probably not aware, there's lots of discussions about the village hall ongoing in the parish at the moment. So I think we need to get that quite clear. That's the only comment I have.
I think factual inaccuracies like that we definitely need to correct.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Frank Brown.
Yeah, I've got a few points which Louise now I'm going to raise. Firstly, on page 1, I would just like to mention the impact on the GP surgery. I think if they're worried about development in this village on the GP surgery, they've got to worry about developing in all parishes, because that's. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, we're listening.
Oh, we didn't know I'd gone. That's one thing. Second thing is 1 to 2 bedrooms. On one bit that say 1 2-bedroom should be 50%. Well, this is too high. And who want a 1-bedroom dwelling? And also on page 2, we got 4 to 6 dwellings. There's got to be 2 dwellings, 2-bedroom or fewer. I mean, there again, who want 1 bedroom? Surely this should be changed to 3-bedroom or fewer. And you can have 3-bedroom which are affordable, and that'll be a lot more gain than 2-bedroom or 1-bedroom. Certainly more than 1-bedroom. I can't think of anybody who wants a 1-bedroom. I mean, that's say 50% of dwellings or something like that in the village, which 1 or 2-bedroom. But I'll be quite honest. I mean, I ain't saying there ain't any, but there is very few 1-bedroom dwellings in this parish. I don't know of any, but there might be some at St Margaret Way flats, but that's all I can think of. And also, some of the dwellings which are on the photograph in Clipsby, everything has got to be matched with them. Well, I meant the photographs show you pairs of houses, terraces of houses, some rendered, some snow sand, some brick, all in the same block. And I mean, in my opinion, they're looking above. That's all I've got to say. Mainly the 1 and 2-bedroom. I'd like to see that changed to 3-bedroom or fewer instead of 2-bedroom or fewer.
Fran Doherty.
Thank you, Jimmy. I'd like to just thank Louise and Mark for their work that they've done with this, and everyone that was on the working group and the parishioners. And it has been a 2-year process to get to where we've got to now with their input. And I think, you know, as Louise said, we've had some of the highest number of parishioner involvement. So all the policies that are there are part of the process. They've been developed with parishioners in mind, and rather than a few, but many. And I think I would like to propose that we approve this and get this moved on, and we can, you know, as Keith rightly pointed out, you know, by the end of the month, send it over to the Great Yarmouth Borough Council with that amendment, as Louise has suggested in her opening speech. So I'd like to propose that we accept it. Approve it.
Thank you. Does anyone else have anything else they wish to say, or you know, but before we take a vote on it, as everyone, I just want to give everyone the chance to say whether they agree with everything and are happy. Anyone?
Sorry, Andrew, you had your hand up. Andrew Peake.
It's down. My hand is down.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
John Roper.
Yeah, I would just like to say that I do agree as regarding the size of the houses. I think 3-bedroom and 2-bedroom properties would be far more suitable to this parish. I've got 2 young daughters, and they assure me that they wouldn't be looking for a 1-bedroom property in the future. And I would have thought that that was what we're aiming at. People like them.
Keith Osborne.
Yeah.
I'd just like to ask my fellow councillors that on the meeting, the 17th of December meeting, we passed a resolution that parish councillors were to forward their comments to the NDP working group and to CCP, which I believe we'd all done. And since then, the comments were all collated by CCP, and the revision has come out, which we now see. I'm aghast that we're still making comments. We have to remember as councillors that this document has been put together after correspondence and meetings with the parishioners. It's not really a parish council document. So these thoughts about 1, 2 or 3 bedroom houses are the thoughts of the parishioners who we are supposed to be working for.
Okay, Richard, I actually put your blue hand down, didn't let you speak. Richard?
Well, there's only a couple of things there in section 1, introduction. That's got Fleggbrugh is made up of 3 parishes, St Margaret, Billerton and Clipsby. What is Fleggbrugh, as far as I'm concerned, there's Fleggbrugh, Billerton and Clipsby, not St Margaret. The other thing you got down there in houses, swallow-tailed butterflies, round here. I wonder how many people have seen one. That's all I got to say.
Okay, thank you. So, do I see Adrian's hand up?
No,
Yes.
Frank.
Yes.
Sorry, sorry, Adrian. I didn't see. I wasn't looking at your face.
That's okay. Sorry. I don't know where actually, I'm struggling to find my blue hand on here. That's why I put my hand up. Actually, I'm sorry. First of all, it's nice to see Louise here and the work she done with us at Philby, and she's certainly done an equally good job in Fleggbrugh. Just going back to this housing thing, in policy 1, which is quite a clear policy, that does say about the number of dwellings, and we are covered, but that says this should include unless otherwise demonstrated. So the policy is put together by the parishioners, but we are covered if someone can prove there's no need at that time. But the policy that stands is a good policy. 1 and 2 bedroom going forward, unless they can demonstrate the need for others. But the important thing is to get that mix in. That's the important thing, so we don't end up with all 4 or 5 bedrooms, which we don't want. And personally, I don't want. But the parishioners have also indicated that. So we are covered in the policy if we need to go to 2 and 3 bedroom.
Frank Brown.
Yeah, I think that all I'm asking for is for that wording from 2 bedroom or fewer to be raised to 3 bedroom or fewer. I mean, I had discussions a lot. I meant what Mr. Osborne was saying. I meant that this has been ongoing right from the time I've been speaking to Louise. I spoke to her several times, and she's well aware of what I think. And I'm just saying it tonight. I mean, I still think that should be changed from 2 bedroom or fewer to 3 bedroom or fewer. For simple reason that just won't be viable from a developer's point of view to build a 1 bedroom. I mean, if you're building 4 dwellings and you've got to put 2 bedroom dwellings in that site, you just won't get anybody developed. I mean, maybe you don't want that. And the idea of this NDP though, to stop developing, which is what that's doing. If you've got to do that.
Shall I just give a bit more background then?
Yeah, I was going to say, could you come in on this? Yeah.
So when you look at the evidence around size of dwellings in Fleggbrugh, at the moment, it's dominated by larger detached dwellings. And over a quarter of homes have 4 or more bedrooms, which is actually really high comparatively, whilst around 30% have 2 bedrooms or fewer, which is low when compared to other neighbouring communities. So as more planning applications have been approved for Fleggbrugh, again, those applications include larger dwellings. And if you look back at the history of applications and houses that have been built in the parish, again, it has all been for larger homes, and probably because developers make more money out of larger homes. That's what we assume. The Great Yarmouth Borough Council's policy around housing mix states that there is a need for of market housing, dwellings of 1 and 2 bedrooms to be about 50% of the total, and whilst for other affordable housing it's a little bit less. So that's what the Borough Council's strategic perspective is on it. When we consulted the community, when we had that open day, and in fact when the survey went round to the community in the first place, we asked about size of houses and what the community felt there was need for. And again, there was a kind of an overwhelming majority of people felt there was a need for smaller homes. And so essentially the policy does reflect that perceived demand from both strategically the Borough Council saying that's what's required, and then also from the community, I suppose, agreeing that that's what's needed. However, Adrian's quite right. Within the policy, although we do specifically say that 30% at a minimum of dwellings will need to be 2-bedroom or fewer, so there might just be 2-bedroom, not necessarily 1, they could be 2-bedroom. If that is not viable for any reason, then a case can be made to the Borough Council, and it is the Borough Council that would determine and agree the housing mix if they approve the application. So I feel that there is justification for including this within the policy. And I feel as though when listening to the community, this is what they've said to us that they want as well. So that's why I feel that it should be kept in there, which I know Frank disagrees with. But it's not my plan, it's the community's plan at the end of the day. So it's up to you really what you want in your policies. But this is what I'm saying to you, this is why it's in there.
Frank Brown.
Well, the Borough Council's policy at the moment is new affordable houses up to 9 dwellings and 20% over 9, which is affordable. They don't necessarily specify 1, 2 or 3 bedrooms.
Yeah, so that's affordable housing.
3-bedroom or 2. Well, anything can be affordable, can't it? But affordable can be 3-bedroom, 2-bedroom, or even 1-bedroom. But they stipulate affordable, not specifically 1 or 2-bedroom. A 3-bedroom can be affordable. I mean, in one breath you're saying that you want a high grade of build and all the rest of it. I meant you can go £125 per square foot on a basic, or you can push that up to £150 per square foot, and on a small dwelling, 500 square foot, that would make 12,500 difference. So I mean, you're contradicting yourself. In one breath you say you want a high quality build, in another breath you're saying you want 1 or 2 bedroom. You've got to have one or the other. Do you want affordables or do you want high quality small houses?
Okay, well, if no one has any further comments on this,
yes, John Haken.
Right. Oh.
Good evening.
Hello, Sean. Good evening.
Hi there. Yeah, I've just got a few comments. The last meeting, the draft document that we were discussing did have some obvious inaccurate information, which the majority of the council did end up agreeing on. This information, which has now been changed, everyone wanted the information to be as accurate as possible before submitting it to Great Yarmouth Borough Council, which is obviously why we're having this meeting now. But I was surprised that 3 councillors were trying to force the document through as it was, with Councillor Peake slating the council again, wanting to spend more time on getting it right. Also, the last meeting, it was stated many times that the council had 2 years of ample opportunity for changes to the draft document, but the document we received and that we were discussing was sent to the parish councillors a week before the meeting in December. And the consultation period obviously finished at the end of October, and if there was any other changes, that was the document that we were discussing at that time. I don't think the council's ever approved a draft document which needed further alterations, which is obviously why we're here. The council has always wanted the draft to be correct before approving publication. Overall now, I'm happy with the document to be submitted to the independent examiner. I haven't too many comments. One would be about the flood and water management locations that were corrected. I think this is a lot more accurate than what we had in the draft, and really there could have been more included. You know, we had a lot of rain in December, and you know, this was an indication of what roads are likely to have standing water on them. You know, Ruggs Lane, which is the worst one in the parish, Marsh Road, Tretz Lane, and parts of the main road, which have been mentioned in the document now, which is good. But also Pound Lane, T Junction, Silver Street, and the main one that I think was one of the worst was Hall Lane in Billickby, which I'm surprised wasn't mentioned by anyone, as it was flooded for over 3 months last year, with many cars getting stuck and left abandoned, if anyone remembers. But like I said in my previous email, you know, I might be wrong, but I've never heard of Broad Road flooding or any homes and gardens to be flooded on a frequent occurrence, which is stated in the document. You know, if you want to leave that in, that's fair enough. It's, you know, it's not up to me. I'm just giving you my comments. But stating this, I would
interrupt, Sean. Sorry, Sean. Can I just interrupt? We've got 7 minutes left, and there's no second part. So if you can finish quickly.
Yeah, I haven't got much more. You know, the only other thing I noticed was about the working group meeting. There wasn't anyone from Billickby in the one that I saw. 2 people from Clipsby, 36 from Fleggbrugh. You know, I think there was a lack of representation of Billickby, and you know, maybe this should be considered in the future review. You know, that Tower Road has 4 locations of the views, you know, and they're all in the same area around St Mary's Ruin. You know, but there's a little bit disappointed the Working Party overlooked Billickby. If you look on the map of the parish, you'll see a very large proportion, just over 1/3 of the parish, is totally forgotten about, as the boundary goes up to Acle Bridge, which has expansive views all over the National Park, Broads and Common, none of which have been included in the important views. Also, Billickby Church, which is an elevated position, which I personally think is the best place to see the surrounding areas. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you very much, Sean, for that. I'd just like to say I'd like to thank everyone who's taken part in any of the contributions towards making up this plan, but we really must come to a decision. We've roughly got 5 minutes left. The way I see it, we either go ahead with what we have before us, with obviously Louise looking at green spaces in the next to the end of the month, but it seems to be a question: are we happy to leave the bedroom situation to be 2 or fewer, or are we happy to change it to 3, leave it as it is? Those seem to be the question for us to then vote on. Are we proposing this to go through?
Can I just say,
yes?
Fran has proposed the approval of the plan, correct? Fran, nod your head.
Yeah, I approve. I would like to approve it.
So everyone's got their hand up. Has already had a say. Can we find a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second it. Sean.
Okay, Sean, I'll take you just quickly. Sean seconding. So we've got Fran proposing, Sean seconding. June, for or against?
4.
Frank, for or against?
Yeah, I'll go for.
John Walsh, for or against?
4.
Keith, for or against?
4, assuming the ownership of the playing field and that it will be changed. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Richard, for or against? JR, for or against?
4.
Andrew, for or against?
4.
Okay, motion carried.
4.
Okay, thank you very much. as I said, there has been a lot of work on this, and we do need to thank Louise and Mark, and particularly Fran, because she's led a lot of this over the past 2 years. As you said, COVID has been very difficult for a lot of people. If it wasn't for COVID, I think we would have had physical meetings and there'd been even more connection than what we've had. So I think, you know, we've done remarkably well to get to this stage, and I like to think the council always wanted this to go forward, but for it to be as correct as possible. So thank you, Louise. And what happens next as far as the parish council get concerned? Do you notify us when you've had results back from the green space?
Yeah,
or?
so I'll keep you in the loop in terms of what's happening. Also to be aware that there are probably going to be some delays on the borough council side of things because of COVID, and it depends on how things work out with that really. But I will definitely keep you in the loop of what's going on and whether there are additional decisions that need to be made.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Frank's got his hand up.
Yeah, all I'd like to say is just a comment on what Sean said, and Louise has now got photographs of Ruggs Lane, Pound Lane and Silver Street Junction.
I'm going to add them in.
We assume she will put them in. Anyway.
I am going to add them in, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Well, I think that we're just about to finish anyway, so thank you for all your time tonight. We have a parish council meeting next Thursday at 7:30. So thank you to you all, and bid you good night.
Thanks, June. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, Fran. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.